My daughter begged me to die. I have 3 kids, M24, F18, and F14. My late husband died very unexpectedly 4 years ago due to COVID. He didn't have a will, but we had a life insurance policy that provided a $360,000 death benefit. As his spouse, I received the full amount. I decided to divide the money 4 ways. I would get $120,000, and each of my 3 kids would get $80,000. At the time, my daughters were both minors, so I told them they could access their full amount when they turned 18. However, if they ever wanted to do something pricey, I would allow them to use some of their share. Most of their needs were taken care of by me. My son was over 18, so I gave him his share right away. This arrangement was a verbal agreement, and I intended to follow through with it fully. Recently, however, my middle daughter, we will call her Maya, was arrested in December for child endangerment because she severely neglected her little sister, leading to something awful happening under her care. She had to use some of her $80,000 to pay for lawyer and court fees, which left her with about $65,000. Fast forward to today, and my youngest daughter is still struggling significantly. During her checkups, she scores very low on mental health evaluations and is on a high dosage of antidepressants. She often jokes that if she were to tell us all the doctors how she truly feels, she would be put in a psych ward. Maya no longer lives with us as I felt her presence was doing more harm than good to her sister. She's staying with my parents for now but has been begging me to give her the money I promised after she graduated. I've been hesitant to do so. My sister, who is familiar with the situation, believes Maya doesn't deserve the money and that I should use it to stay home longer with my youngest, who will be alone during the day once I return to work soon. With my youngest's declining mental health and school being out, I'm very worried about her. Maya is about to go off to college, and I know most of the money would go toward that. However, I'm still very angry with Maya for the pain she caused her sister. I'm having a hard time making this decision. So, would I be the ass if I kept her inheritance? Edit. I didn't expect so many comments, but I'm reading through all them to the ones that are asking what would husband say if he was here. I honestly don't know, that's why I'm conflicted. A part of me want to think he would honestly say for me to give Maya the money so she go to college, because college was important to him. But also another part of me knows if he heard the details about what happened to Leah he would be way brutal than I am and disown her permanently, so it's hard to make a call on what would he want when I don't know. A tiny update, I saw a couple comments that told me I should ask Leah. I didn't flat out ask her like it was her call, to avoid putting unnecessary pressure on her about what I should do, but she told me, "Mom, I think you should give it to her because I don't want her to be mad at me. She already blames me for getting kicked out. She still loves and cares about Maya. She doesn't blame her for what happened to her yet. The reason why I say yet is because I haven't sat down with her and help her fully understand what Maya did to her was wrong, and I'm honestly dreading it. She doesn't know what Maya has said about her, nor doesn't know the true details why she was arrested. In her head, she thinks Maya was arrested because she threw a party." Relevant comments. Commenter 1. How was your middle child left responsible for her sibling long enough to seriously neglect her? As the parent, shouldn't you have had daily contact with your children? ARP's response. My youngest is scared to stay home alone at night, and my daughter did not want to get a traditional high school job, and since I had some spare money I hired her to watch her sister while I work nights, and she was very happy about that arrangement. She always had say if she couldn't babysit, and I was very flexible with her. However, Maya threw party while she was babysitting and resulting and her sister being SA. Commenter 2. I think it's a bit irresponsible for you to give 18-year-olds unrestricted access to that much money at all. You are making it way too easy to skip education, blow through stacks of cash, live fast, and have nothing to show for it. If I were in your position, I would tell her that the cost of Leah's therapy is part of the costs that her fund must cover, so you will retain control over it to ensure that Leah's therapy is paid for. However, you still want Maya to pursue an education, so you are willing to pay her tuition and campus housing costs directly to the school she enrolls in. Honestly, college sounds like Maya's best path for straightening out. Don't stand in the way of it, but also don't give her the means to skip it altogether. Op response. I wasn't clear on my post, but I required for my son to give me a full written breakdown of what he planned to do with the money, before I just wrote the check to him. My son invested majority of it because he's a scholarship student and used some of it as down payment to get a house and his wedding. He tells me he still has a good chunk left over. Of course I know my daughters aren't gonna be as responsible as him, but Maya way before this all happened already discussed with me how she was going to spend it, and majority of it was to put her through college and to pay off her car. But on your last part, one really appreciate the advice, thank you. Update. My daughter Leah, F14, has been having a tough time with the aftermath of her rape last December. This past week has been particularly the worst for us. It started last Tuesday when a sheriff and another official visited our home. They informed us that one of Leah's rapists, the one who filmed the assault, had shared the video within a group, and now it's circulating on parts of the dark web. The video was filmed in Leah's room. It contained identifiable objects that revealed where she went to school. I was devastated upon hearing this news. Leah's reaction surprised me. She didn't cry or show much emotion. Instead, she simply shrugged and said, "I figured," before just sitting there in silence. The officials reassured us that it's uncommon for perpetrators to surface in such cases, but they felt obligated to inform us for safety reasons. After they left, Leah resumed acting as if nothing had happened, almost overly cheerful. I attempted to discuss it with her several times, but she avoided the topic. This behavior persisted throughout the week until she unexpectedly revealed that she had written a victim impact statement and wanted to read it herself in court, rather than allowing the prosecutor to do so. She felt that since there was no trial, only the charges against the rapist were known, not the details of what she endured. Her statement is a detailed account of that horrific night, but she has yet to read it to me in its entirety because she breaks down in tears every time she tries. That moment was the only time I saw her express emotion all week, until Saturday night. That evening, Leah appeared unusually cheerful again and mentioned going to bed early around 8 p.m. I didn't think much of it until I received a call from one of Leah's closest friends' mother. She was concerned because Leah's last message to her daughter was a note expressing love and asking her to check on her. I rushed to Leah's room and found she had attempted to overdose on ZZZ-Quil. As a nurse, I knew she would recover, but seeing her wake up in the hospital was heartbreaking. She screamed, "Why couldn't you just let me die? I want to die, Mom. I'm tired of feeling their hands on me. I want it to stop. Please let me die." They had to sedate her to calm her down. Following this, Leah was placed under a 72-hour psychiatric hold and subsequently transferred to a mental health facility with peers her age. The staff recommended extending her stay beyond the initial hold, but Leah has been struggling, especially with a male staff member, possibly a psychiatrist, who she says is asking invasive questions about her sexuality, causing discomfort. Staff members informed me she isn't participating in group activities and appears standoffish. They even proposed restricting her ability to contact me as a consequence, though I requested they hold off on implementing such measures. I'm uncertain if the current inpatient setting is suitable, given Leah's apparent difficulty adjusting. Her plea for her to die continues to haunt me. It's a thought I can't shake. Leah's best friend shared additional details Leah had kept from me. There's a hurtful rumor circulating that Leah let a train be ran on her, leading to her involving the police out of embarrassment. Children can be so incredibly cruel. As far as my other daughter Maya, F18, I haven't spoken to her in 2 weeks. But I did recently discover why Leah feels indebted to her. 2 years ago, I found inappropriate messages on Leah's phone between her and Maya's ex-boyfriend. He expressed love for Leah and also compared her to Maya. He told her she was way prettier than Maya and he liked she was her virgin. When I told Maya, she was furious and broke up with him, but she believed Leah had betrayed her by engaging with her boyfriend. Even though Leah was 12 at the time and her boyfriend was 17. Maya still avoided Leah for 3 months afterward, and despite Leah's efforts to apologize, Maya still holds a grudge. Leah blames herself for damaging their relationship because of this incident. I'm sharing this to get this off my chest. I've kept these struggles within our family to protect my daughters. I'm exhausted, constantly dealing with new challenges, and unsure how to mend them. Now, I find myself in the difficult position of deciding whether Leah is mentally prepared to speak at her rapist's sentencing. I fear she'll resent me for this decision, but I question if she's in a stable enough state to handle a potential traumatic event. Because these boys actually have character witnesses. Update: so I read a lot of your responses and I agree. I don't think inpatient is for her, so I'll be getting her tomorrow when her 72-hour hold is up. I'm gonna spend today researching on the right therapist for her that specializes in cases like Leah. As far as letting Leah speak at her sentencing, I'm conflicted on that still. I know I can't shield her from the world, but I just have the biggest fear that my baby will pour her heart out in the courtroom and it will be like Brock Turner all over again and they somehow just get the minimum sentence. Information on the psychologist: so I talked to Leah further about what the psychologist said to her make her uncomfortable. She told me when I left they made her sit down with him one-on-one, to basically debrief why she was there and what's causing her to have these thoughts, and she opened up to him and told her about the rape. However, he asked her if this was her only sexual experience and she told him yes. But he kept questioning her like he didn't believe it was her only experience and saying to her that he won't tell me if it wasn't, that she can say it, and she kept having tell him no, that was her only experience. Then he asked about her sexuality, if she's still attracted to men, and she just told him that she doesn't think about relationships right now. She just said that she felt weird about him asking a lot of questions about her sex life, when it was just those two alone in a room with the door closed. I'm not gonna accuse the psychologist of being a creep, because maybe he was simply doing his job, but I feel like he should have known to have a female staff ask her those questions. Or just have a woman present. He had have seen her chart before he seen her. Second update, the little positive update. I got Leah out of treatment center Wednesday and I took her immediately to a mental health trauma care practice and she met with the psychiatrist consultation. She told me she doesn't think Leah wants to truly die but is suffering with extreme PTSD and depression and that her lack of sleep contributed to her psychotic break. The psychiatrist was also impressed how long she's been keeping it together. I really like the practice and Leah does too. It was cute. They gave her a little photo album of the therapist at the practice and let her choose which one she thinks she will vibe the best with and met her on the same day because she happened to be in. Her first session with her will be after the sentencing. She's on a sleeping medication now and has been sleeping a lot since she's been home. The inpatient facility was not for her whatsoever. I read the reviews on this place and it had really horrible reviews. I learned from my co-worker. He told me that clinics like that only exist to break down children into not having mental health issues and to act normal. Leah said she didn't shower and barely slept her entire time there. She didn't shower because someone would needed to monitor her and she couldn't sleep because it's apparently not allowed to sleep with a blanket over her face and they had cameras in her room with an intercom to wake her every time she did put a blanket over her face. However, she did say that she learned her situation can be much worse after hearing some of the other kids' stories. She told me she's grateful for me. Yes, I did cry. I will be letting her speak at the sentencing. I didn't realize she didn't have to speak in front of everyone and that there's a lot of other options. She's into the idea of a voice memo currently so she won't get triggered seeing her rapist staring at her. Maya randomly came to the house unannounced to drop off flowers for Leah. Leah told her she attempted, and I didn't talk to her the entire visit. When she left I told Leah Maya isn't allowed here and I'm really mad at her and I would like it if she limited her contact with her. She thinks I'm trying to put her in the middle, which I'm not, but after the sentencing I will be telling her about Maya's actions towards her and how she was wrong. I was going to give Maya the opportunity to tell Leah herself, but Maya has an habit of telling half-truths to cover her lie. So we will see. I'll update you guys in coming weeks after the sentencing and after I tell Leah about Maya. Comments. Commenter 1. Broadly, I think you have a massive problem with disciplining your children. Maya allowed Leah to be gang raped, and her punishment was losing her car? That would be far too small a punishment for throwing a party, much less one where she let her sister be gang raped. Maya tells you she feels no remorse or responsibility for allowing Leah to be gang raped, and her punishment is being sent to live with her grandparents. Meanwhile, you have qualms about whether you should give her $65,000. Maya's pedophile boyfriend tries to put the moves on 12-year-old Leah. Maya refuses to talk to Leah for 3 months because, of course, it's Leah's fault for being such a slut, right? Maya this day still holds a grudge, which also makes me question the extent to which she was merely negligent, rather than liable, for her sister's gang rape, and you've allowed Leah to feel responsible for Maya's pedophile boyfriend, and guilt for ruining his relationship with Maya. Did you punish Maya at all for her insane reaction? Or did you throw up your hands and meekly nod when she told you about how you were making her feel sad? I think you need to take a hard look at your disciplinary track record, and I suspect there's a not insignificant degree of accountability for the way Maya has turned out. You let her affiliate with gang members. She has such little respect for you, or belief that she'll be punished, that she feels comfortable throwing a rager and trying to set her sister up with a much older boy. She was clearly correct in predicting that there wouldn't be any consequences, since even with Maya getting gang raped by the boy and 3 of his friends, her only punishment was losing a car. It might be too late for Maya, but it isn't too late for you to protect Leah from her, and to make it absolutely clear how unacceptable Maya's behavior has been. To this point, you've been tacitly endorsing it, so of course Leah feels conflicted. Her moral guide, you, seems to be blind. ARP's response, there was a lot happening the day of the incident. Leah was in the hospital and initially refused to tell the authorities what happened, only briefly mentioning who did this to her in the ambulance. It took 3 hours for her to give her statement and close to 5 hours to agree to undergo a rape kit. I was there when Leah gave her statement, and she barely mentioned her sister. Meanwhile, my whole house turned into an active crime scene, so I was dealing with that while being at the hospital with Leah. Maya was also being interrogated this entire time, and when I got the call from her, she told me they had arrested her and charged her with child endangerment because she threw a party while babysitting. It made sense to me at the time. I wasn't thinking properly, as a lot was going on and my emotions were all over the place. I did help her, and I do regret it. I didn't know the extent of her actions until the cop who interrogated her told me what made him arrest her was because she left the house. He might have let it go if she had cooperated during the interrogation. She wasn't giving many names of the guests who were there and forgot a lot of details. When I confronted Maya about her lying, she was crying and told me how bad she felt. She said they were confusing her during the interrogation and that she wasn't fully sober. She was crying while telling me this and insisted she didn't intend for anything bad to happen to Leah. She just figured Leah was asleep when she left and wouldn't need anything. Again, my mind never went to Maya having anything to do with this because she was there for Leah for most of the time, up until after her own hearing when she found out that she wouldn't be serving any jail time. That's when I noticed her energy switched, which led to my first post. Regarding the situation with Maya's ex, Maya was mad at Leah because I did leave out a detail in the post that I didn't find relevant at the time, as her ex is the only culprit to me. But Leah and her ex were communicating back and forth for 5 months before I realized that Leah had been secretive about her phone and who she was talking to. The messages were very inappropriate, and they were having a secret relationship. He was grooming her, and they even kissed while Maya wasn't looking at one point. When I told Maya, she didn't initially believe me, so I showed her the messages. She was very heartbroken that her boyfriend was grooming her sister and also talking horribly about her to her little sister. I took the approach of letting her be upset about it so she felt her feelings were validated, even if that meant not talking to her sister for a bit. I realized now it was a wrong approach, because it obviously manifested into something much awful. There are a lot of flaws in my parenting, I will admit that. There are many things I did that I really wish I could take back or handle differently. My husband was more of the disciplinarian between the two of us, and since he died, I've been trying to find my backbone. To put it quite simply, the only defense I have is that I'm just a mom who was thinking with emotions in these moments and not logic. Commenter 2. What is the brother's reaction to all of this? I would ask him to come and stay with you guys for a bit if at all possible, if for nothing else than an extra pair of eyes on Leah, if she is comfortable with this of course. Arp's response, he knows about what happened with Leah and has been very supportive and helpful. Him and my DIL always pick up Leah to get her out of the house. They both work, so they do what they could. Before the comments about Maya come, him and Maya don't get along whatsoever and never have. So no, he doesn't know the details about Maya's part in this, and I don't think I will tell him until much later because he was already pissed at her for just throwing a party. I don't know what he will do if he heard the other stuff. They have a history of getting into screaming matches and getting into each other's faces. I know a lot Redditors want me to choose violence. To tell him ASAP, but I personally just don't think it's necessary right now.